you've charted 1,000 miles from the ordinary. Welcome, me friends, to Photoshop Island. Hello and welcome. This tutorial is produced by PhotoshopIsland.com, your source for fun and practical Photoshop extras, from brushes to complete layer designs.
Hey, welcome to this part 3 of the Photoshop Island Iron Grunge font family and 40 Photoshop brushes. This is going to carry through from parts 1 and 2, so if you miss those parts, you might want to back up and see how we got to where we are. What you see on screen right now is where we're going to end up at the end of this tutorial. Okay, so let's jump into this part 3 of the Iron Grunge, both font and Photoshop brushes tutorials. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to layer up a grungy background with the Photoshop Iron Grunge Photoshop brushes. So let's turn off our type layer for now, and I'm going to move the layer palette up here so we can see a little bit better. First thing I want to do, I like to build my grunge effects up on layers, or any kind of brush effects. I like to build them up on layers. So I'm going to create a new layer. And we need to get these grunge brushes in here, so select your brush tool. I already had it selected. And we're going to go over here to the brush palette, and we're going to load brushes. And we're going to browse to the location on our computer where we downloaded the 40 Photoshop Island Grunge brushes. So here's my directory where I've got the brushes, and I'm going to load them right in. And now we can see we've got some new brushes here. There are 40 of them, and they are each numbered, so if you want to reference them, it starts with Grunge Texture 1, goes to Grunge Texture 40. I'm going to go ahead while I'm here and pick out a brush. I think I want some pretty heavy grunge to lay as my base layer, so I'm going to pick this one over here. This is Grunge number 35, and jump back over to my document. Now, you can't see your brush, and the reason that happens is that these brushes are very high resolution. So we need to shrink that down a little bit and see what we're working with. There's a couple different ways you can do that. You can certainly go back to the brushes palette, and you've got this master diameter that you can adjust right here. And now we can see this brush. Another quick way to do this is with the bracket left and bracket right keys on your keyboard. And you can see we can do that. So I'm just going to lay that down, but I'm trying to build up a reddish brown rust look. So I'm going to pick kind of a deep reddy rust here, and let's get this as big as our workspace. Just going to stamp that down. Well, that's not quite what I want, so let's backtrack just one step and let's take this background layer and let's just make this black. And the fastest way to do that is to do a Command or Control I, which will invert our white background to black. Now we're building up something kind of interesting here. Not that you couldn't do that with a white background, but I think we might get somewhere more interesting using a black background to build up from. So now we've got one layer of grunge. Let's go in and put in another layer, and let's pick a little bit lighter color, and we're going to pick our brush tool again. Now we want to pick a different grunge texture because we want to build it up with some different look. So let's pick. Let's try this one right here. And we'll back to our document. And again, it's coming in very large, so I'm just going to use my bracket left key to bring this down a little bit. And I want it to fill as much as possible, so I'm going to keep it pretty big. And I'm just going to stamp down again. And now we're getting kind of an interesting look building up. Let's put one more layer on. You can see kind of how this works. I'm going to pick a little bit brighter color this time. And there's one brush in particular that I'm kind of fond of in this set. It's the number 6 brush right here. Just like that. Now I'm on a new layer again. I'm going to reduce the size of the brush a little bit to fit in our workspace. If you work with larger images, then I think you'll appreciate the higher resolution. This particular brush has a nice kind of drippy, rusty look to it that I like. So I'm going to drop that down here in the lighter color. And you know, that's that might not be quite the right color I want. So I'm going to undo that. Let's pick a little bit different color. I think I want something a little brighter maybe than that. Let's go back and try this again. Great. Now you can get a real sense of that. So now we've got a nice grunged up background that we built up. And turn our two type layers back on. Now the black for our type from before isn't showing up very well, but why don't we switch that around, switch that up a little bit, and I'm going to select that layer, and instead of a dark black, how about a really bright light orange to overlay, so we can pop our type right off of there. So now you can get a real sense of how the fonts and the brushes are working together to create a complete look. And you can kind of play around with these. And again, when you have these on different layers, and you could go back in, and if you decided you had too much, you could go back in and knock it down a little bit, kind of play with it. If you wanted a little more of a monotone-ish look to your type, I think the thing to do here would be to get these two colors a little closer together. So I'm going to sample this color, and we'll put something close to that on the bottom, but not exactly. So I'll just put that in there and jump it over to something slightly different. And then you've got a little more subtle grunge on our type if you want to go that direction. I hope this helped you out on getting the full use of the Photoshop Island Iron Grunge font family and the 40 Photoshop Island Grunge brushes, Iron Grunge brushes. If you jumped into this tutorial and you didn't see the first two, just go back to youtube.com/Photoshop Island and check out our other Iron Grunge tutorials so you can see how we got here and how these build on each other. Also, make sure you go to Photoshop Island and check out our freebies. We have public freebies and we have member freebies. Membership is free. All we need is your email address. All we do with your email address is we do contact you from time to time to let you know about other freebies and other new Photoshop Island products that are available. So thanks for stopping by, and we will see you on the next tutorial.
Don't forget to check out PhotoshopIsland.com for a bonanza of fun and practical Photoshop extras, from brushes to complete layered designs.